Dror Feiler and Leila Khaled.
I would like to thank my friends who made it possible that we meet in this lovely evening to discuss a very tough issue. It's the Palestinian question. Referring to the question, how do I remember that time? I think I remember it with pride that I have done something for my people. Else, I wouldn't be here now, after 41 years or 42 years. That was long ago in the last century. Because it seemed that we had to do something that will make the world just open their ears. Because when we screamed and cried in our tents in winter, in summer, when the wind blew our tents and we were under rain in the middle of the night, the world did not hear us, unfortunately. But when we held arms, everybody heard. It seems this is the nature of things. Could be that we couldn't let our voices reach you in different means. We didn't have means even. So we, as you've seen in the film, that it was a tactic to be used for a short of time, and it was clean and clear. Nobody was hurt. We were very much strictly instructed not to hurt anyone, neither the passengers nor the crew, and on the contrary, to be polite and to be friendly, even with the pilot, who is the one to be he's the one to be controlled. I think we have done it in this way. Then all the media of the world came to us to ask, why were you doing that? And that was the goal, to make the world ask why. And we had to prove that from agony and from anger and from pain and suffering for years and years since childhood, this we have tried to do our best to show those who came to our area, to show them what kind of life we are leading or we were leading. Still, a part of my people is under occupation, suffering from occupation, and I think I have to ask by myself, my friend Dror, to speak about occupation and the policies of occupation against the Palestinians.
It is very special to try to think so far away back. Also, especially because I live in Sweden now 37 years. Also for me now, for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm a refugee, because now I'm banned. I cannot go even to the place I was born, is Israel. 1960, I remember myself this. Most of the people here are much younger, they don't remember it clearly. But I remember when I heard it. 1969, I was 18, and as every 18 years old man, I enrolled into the army. And I went into the parachutists, and the people usually ask me why, and I answer a very special answer. I went to the parachutists because I had a sentence that said every communist must know the simple truth. The political power is coming out of a gun. Because I come from a communist family, and we have in the Communist Party, in Communist Youth, said that we have to go to the army, we have to learn to use weapons, and we have to make propaganda in the army against occupation. And in 1970, I refused to serve in occupied territories because I said a soldier should not be part in occupation policy, of course, and not, especially not to do anything with civilians. Soldiers should fight against soldiers, it's bad enough, but not against civilians. I was a young boy, 18 when I enrolled, 19 when I refused. And for me, all my life, it has to do with the struggle against the oppression of the Palestinian people in Israel and outside Israel, because I come from this environment. I remember as a boy, we were hiding Palestinian activists, Israeli Palestinian activists, in our home, because the police should not find them. It was a mission we got from the party. This was in the beginning of the 60s. There is a part of the Israeli society that has always been aware of the injustice. Unfortunately, this is a very small part. And even smaller is the part that is ready to do something because of what they know. Nowadays, everyone knows. Nowadays, nobody can say, I don't know what's going on. Then it was easier to say. It is not true that nobody knew, but it was easier to say I didn't know what happened. Now, it's not possible. So for me, the 69, 70 is to do with I became grown up, and I took the decision and the consequences of refusing to serve in occupied territories. I was sitting in prison. And I was, in a way, realizing that the struggle to freedom is a joint struggle. It is not only a struggle of Palestinians, and it's not only a struggle of people in Egypt, it's a joint struggle. Especially in a country like Palestine or whatever, that is this mixture of people. I usually say there is people between the river and the sea, and all these people should have the same rights, national and individual. This is for me the basis, and this is what I tried to do, to practice 1970, and this is what I'm trying to do still.
You want to add something?
I just to add some more, to give the my friend here refused to serve in the occupied territories because he knows very well what he is asked to do there. Occupation, in brief, is terrorism. Let just give you some images that are happening there up till now. The army comes to arrest somebody. They have no direct accuse. Just they are told, go and get that person. They go at night, in the middle of the night, surround the house with vehicles, and then they knock at the door. If the people are sleeping and they are late to open the door, they break the door. And then with their guns go in and search and tell the people to get out of their beds, including children. Sometimes they put them in the bathroom, sometimes they put them in one room, and then they go and search all the house and make it a mess there. Then they take the father, if they want him, because to ask why are you doing so, they may hit him on the face, slap him on the face in front of his children and in front of his wife or mother or who are with him at home. Then they will take him, they cuff him, put him in the vehicle and take him. For 1-2 weeks, nobody knows where that man is. So his family has to go and ask and search, because there is a law in Israel that says when one is arrested and he is still under interrogation, then he is not allowed to be visited. What this incident means: when the army takes the father in front of his children and he is humiliated, this means that to humiliate all the family, because in our society the man is the symbol of respect. He is the one to be obeyed in the family. Up till now it's like this. Or if the eldest brother is also arrested, it's the same. And they grab them without giving them even the time to change their clothes. They take them with their nightgowns and pajamas. And this created an anger in the children that brought up the intifada, where children used the stones to throw it against the army. And although they knew that they are not going to explode a tank or a vehicle, but because they felt that the symbol of authority has been humiliated at home, then they want to do to retaliate in their own way. This is for the children. For women to be taken from home, and sometimes they make fun of them, of the women to be arrested. Some of our women have scarves on their head. When they take them, grab them from their beds, then it means that she doesn't have that on her head. And still, they don't respect the soldiers don't respect even the traditions of the people, so they just let that woman go out and go with them, while in the society, a woman is to be always accompanied by her father, by her brother, by her sister, or like this. But the occupation helped us to break all these traditions. I'm not thankful for the occupation, but because women had to face this with courage and not caring about the tradition, just caring about to be courageous to face those people who are coming to arrest her and to put her in jail, to torture them. One of my comrades, when she was telling me how she was tortured, I was in a state of mind that I couldn't continue hearing her when she said that when she was bare, they took her clothes off and they brought her father, and she was beaten and she was bleeding, and told her father to rape her. That was, they asked the father to do it. Of course, it was very hard for the father to see his daughter like that, and she was of 18 years old, this woman. When he did not accept, they put a hose of water in his back, and he was swollen with water in front of his daughter. So to oblige him, they told him, if you don't rape your daughter, we'll make you full of water. And then he fainted, of course. They took him to the hospital after that. These are some of the images of occupation in practice. It's not a word, just that the army comes and rule the land and the people. No, it's everyday terror. It's everyday actions that make people all the time think when it's their turn to be arrested or to be killed. The house to be demolished, as is now going on in Jerusalem, in different cities of the West Bank. Thousands of houses are demolished up till now. And a woman in Jerusalem is called Camel. When they asked her to leave the house, and the settlers came and lived in that house, and they kicked her out of the house, her husband was paralyzed. And she told them that this house, they have been there for 40 years, more than 40 years. And yet, she was not given the opportunity to take her things, her furniture. So she brought a tent and put it in front of that place. But the Israelis came and took the tent. This tent was built for 5 times. Every time she builds the tent, they come and take it out. And her husband died just after they were expelled from the house. Other families, their houses were demolished and not taken by settlers. It's demolished totally. They give them 5 minutes to leave. What can you take from your house in 5 minutes to except for your ID or some money if you have, and that's it. You can't take anything out of the house in 5 minutes. And then they, one of the things that if you don't allow them, if you don't go out of the house, they will grab you out and you have to demolish your house if you don't obey them and leave the house. So imagine how confiscating lands, cutting your trees, which is the source of your living, all this is occupation. That's why when people resist, it's because of all these atrocities inflicted by occupation. Thank you.
I would like to emphasize that the grave cases that Leila is telling us are horrible. But for me, the biggest horror is the everyday, grey, average horror. A woman with a child has pain in the ears on the roadblock. He's shouting, he wants a doctor. She cannot go. An old man wants to go to visit his children, he cannot go. Or he can go and cannot go back. This kind of the total uncertainty that you can never know what will be the next 5 minutes, the next hour, the next day. I think this is making the whole nation, Palestinian nation, big damage. If I go to myself, when I was sent to Gaza, to Bethlehem, and I saw these people, and I saw that they took all the men, it was 1970, they took all the men from 16 and up, put them on the central square of Bethlehem, and then they have some collaborators with the sick on the face that nobody will see, and they were pointing out. When I saw this, I said, this is a typical, I cannot be in this. Because I think that when you see it, when you are in it, that then you take the action. Because when you hear about it, it is something. Because of this, I recommend all the people, even the people who discuss with me in Sweden about Palestine, I say to them, don't don't believe me, go there. Be there 2 weeks. Go to Kasbah in Nablus, go to East Jerusalem, go to refugee camps, Balata, go to Askar, go to Jenin. When you come back, come to me and speak to me. And usually, as a matter of fact, the people who really go, they come back and they change their mind. We have a very interesting case of a person who was an editorial journalist in Gothenburg, Boston, and he was pro-Israeli. And when he went back, and when he after he came back from Israel, he wrote 3 articles that the owner of the newspaper told him, you are never allowed to write about Israel anymore. Because, and he said, it is not a question of my opinion. I saw it. And because of this, I think it's important that we get people from Palestine who tell us also, they will tell us how it is. Or we go there. Because, as we know, to get all the knowledge through Reuters or whatever, it is kind of, if I will be diplomatic, it's colored. And then I say, let us take away the filters and see how it is. And I think that generally all human beings, when they really realize what it is, and when you diffuse the propaganda that, or the fear that the rulers inflict on them, I think that we understand that this cannot continue. And this is what made me to refuse, because I said no. As a human being, it's not only that I think that they should not be treated like this. I should not be treated like this. I should not be an instrument for somebody else to degrade myself to be a killer or a oppressor. So I think that I must also say that you have to understand that in 1970 there was very, very few who refused, and because of this it was not so dangerous. Because the Israelis, they say, okay, it's some crazy people. They put me in some prison and then it was over. Nowadays, the movement of refuseniks is much bigger and they get much heavier punishment because they are starting to be a threat to the military regime. And I think this is one of the parallel processes that should go parallel to the struggle of the Palestinian people. I think struggle against the militarization and militarism in Israel and against occupation should go parallel, and then we will get the rulers frightened, and maybe we even can, as you said, things must change. It must change. I don't know, my mother is 88 years old, and she says, maybe the free Palestine will not be in my lifetime, she says, maybe. But who knows, who knows.
Yeah. I will take the easy way out and just ask another number, and that is how you remember 1993.
Which year?
1993. 93.
Oslo.
As some of you know, that Oslo Accords has been done behind our backs, behind the Palestinian people. Nobody knew about it. First there was negotiations in Madrid, and then in Washington. The Palestinians and the Israelis go to Washington and they sit together, begin to discuss. They reach to a point, they stop, because neither of them accept the idea of or the discussion. And it reached to a point that they began to speak in the corridors and not go to the rooms to discuss. With the surveillance, with the sponsorship of the Americans, who are biased, of course, to Israel. So they didn't play a role to enforce their input to that negotiations, to bring both sides to an agreement. So the leadership of PLO at the time of Arafat went to Oslo, and they were negotiating there with different people from both sides. and then they reached to Oslo, of course. I was at that time in Jordan, and it was on the news that there will be a meeting, a big celebration in the garden of the White House, and both sides are going to be there. When I saw that, and I watched it at TV, it really made me really cry, because I felt that blood was coming out of the TV. I just remembered all those who died from our people, especially my comrades whom I lived with, whom we struggled together, whom we walked that path, and then just found that without our opinion, without even being informed, that both sides are signing an agreement which doesn't speak about us. It spoke about everything except about us. No item in that agreement that deals with the refugees. Nothing is mentioned in it about Jerusalem. Nothing about the borders. Nothing about the waters. Nothing about settlements. Then what is that agreement for? It neglected the core issues of the conflict. The core issues lies into the land and the people. The land to be sovereign over, and the people is the return of the refugees. If any settlement doesn't deal with these core issues, then it will not last. And it proved that this settlement, and this agreement is not applicable. In 2002, Sharon said that Oslo Accords is in the ICU, and then he said it's dead because my tanks passed over it. Then this meant that it wasn't a peace process, it was a process, but it's not a peace process, because since 1993 until now it's 18 years or more, no peace in Palestine. So how could we remember this except with pain, really, and thinking of all those who died so we can live in a better future. And after all these years, still we are refugees. After all these years of occupation, still our country is under occupation. But now Israel is comfortable about this kind of occupation because it redeployed its troops, and somebody else is taking care of the people, which is the PA now, the Palestinian Authority. And it became a very cheap occupation. They are no more responsible for the people, for anything dealing with the people in Palestine. And it's very good for them now. Any occupants always go to occupy other countries just to get benefit out of it. If they are going to lose, then they will leave. Now, Israel is benefiting out of this a cheap occupation because it's getting a good benefit out of it. Now, the West Bank is the second market for the Israeli goods, for example. So they are getting benefit of it. And they have no responsibility except to put people in prison or to deport them, or to follow them in their houses and confiscating their land. So this is what Oslo Accords mean to me and to all Palestinians who, some of the Palestinians thought that through this we can gain and achieve our goals. But after many years, then they knew that they are not gaining any of their rights, and they are not nearer to their rights after all this. That's why now nobody is speaking about Oslo Accords. So if you ask what is to be done, what is the solution? I tell you,
Next question.
it's by calling for an international conference led by United Nations to activate the resolutions that was taken by the international community dealing with this conflict. We accept it. And I bet you that the Israeli government will not accept that. They refuse it because they know that one of the resolutions is the right for return. Another resolution that Israel should withdraw from the lands that was occupied in 1967, including Eastern Jerusalem. So this what we are offering to the world and to the Israelis. So they have to think about it, or else this conflict will continue. This conflict will bring more destruction for both of us, for our children. We can't accept that we live in this such situation, and at the same time we are offering a human and a democratic solution for both sides, the Palestinians and the Israelis.
There's not much more to add.
I was just about to ask
But
you.
I would like to say like this. You know, when such things like Oslo comes, everyone, many people I know, and including myself, some wanted so much that it will be good. We wanted very much to be good. But when, like Leila said here, when we look into the papers, then we saw what's going on. But it's interesting, there is one thing that Oslo, Israel still keep on the Oslo. They say that according to Oslo agreement, they can stop the boats going to Gaza. This they want to keep from Oslo. It's the only one. They didn't stop the settlements, they didn't stop, but to the siege of Gaza, they say Oslo give them the right. What is interesting also to know is that in the 80s, there was a law in Israel that was forbidden to meet Palestinians. It was meeting with PLO was against the law. In 1986, four Israelis went to Bucharest to meet the PLO officially. And these people was then, when they came back to Israel, got into prison. And on the same time, like you said, behind closed doors, with nobody knowing, the Israelis and the Palestinians was having secret negotiations. I think the problem of the Palestinian people that their leadership was weak in a way, and they want to achieve results in their own lifetime. You know, sometimes people are weak as persons, and they want to feel that I succeed, I will go back to Palestine and whatever. Unfortunately, but if you analyze what Oslo was, they say between 93 until 98 there will be a Palestinian state. But they didn't say where it will be. It was like a dream or ghost, I don't know. If you look on the rights that the Palestinian people got from Oslo, it was the right to maybe to collect the garbage, maybe to control the sewage, maybe to pay, like you said, for the hospitals. But they have no sovereignty, not on the borders, not on the air, not on the water. And we should not forget that the water is also a very, very essential issue. And you look on the map, so you can see that Israel is trying to put the wall in the way that you can keep as much water as possible. So the Oslo Accord is a kind of, in Sweden you say it's the Norge Historia. It's in Sweden they make joke about the Norwegians. So if you say Oslo story, it means that it's like a stupid story. And in a way it is like very naive somehow. But still we wanted to believe, I believe. And but we should not forget that, for example, Edward Said has, from the beginning, and other Palestinian intellectuals with self-dignity have said that this is not possible. Like you said, the core issue is the land. And as long as Israel continues with the settlements, and as long as they continue with eviction of Palestinian people, and they have done it the whole time, there is no will. There is no will. But you know, who knows? Things change. So I hope that this kind of we will find a way to make the people. I usually say like these people who live between the river and the sea, they have to live with the same rights. This is the only way. If they choose to live in two states or one state, let the people decide. But what we as international community can demand on the parties is to respect international law and human rights and the resolution of the United Nations. There is no other way for us as international community to demand from the parties. We cannot demand exactly borders or no, but we can demand this. And I think if this is a good beginning.